Well, welcome everyone. I'm Susie Byler. I'm the host of the Light Language Symposium and the founder and lead facilitator in the Creation Temple. And I'm here in the studio with Rob. And I don't know how to even say your name. I always say Gauthier, but I heard Lee Harris say it and he said Gauthier or something fancy like that.
Yeah, that's how our French Canadian family says it, is Gautier, but
Gauthier.
the Americanized version is Gauthier. That's how my family pronounces it. But
All right, cool. We like both.
yeah, it's all good either way.
So Rob is the ET Whisperer, and I wanted to have him on so that we could just share some things and share what's on our hearts. And Rob, is there anything else you want to share about yourself before I ask my first question?
Not really. I'm just happy to be here with you. It's been a while since we got to do a face to face, and I'm enjoying being able to hang out with you for a little bit.
Likewise. Yeah, cool. So, Rob, what I want to ask you is what do you think or what do you feel is the most important thing for people to know right now?
That's a tough one. There's a lot of things that's going on right now and a lot of things that are important. My focus has been trying to help people with judgment. Um, I myself have had to work on that very hard throughout my life. I've also been in really uh, pretty tough places where I received a ton of judgment from a lot of people. So that is pretty big for me right now. What I see most is people being divided so much that they're fighting, arguing, being kind of horrible to each other in a way, and doing it all in the name of their beliefs. My side's right, your side's wrong. This is the good, this is the bad. And that type of division is like counterproductive to what our whole community is supposed to be about. Our community is supposed to be about getting in touch with yourself, getting to know yourself so that you can connect with others and kind of connect with a oneness energy and not division. So that's been one of the huge things. The other is trying to build community, bring people together, and it's all part of the same guys. If you can connect with people and not judge and put aside differences and work together, you can build what you want, and you won't have to fight with anybody about how bad things are or how tough situations are, because you're creating good situations. So
Yeah. What's interesting, I find about these times is that, yeah, we all talk about coming together and wanting to come together. And yet we have this very third dimensional experience of whether or not you got the injection. So for some people, I can't be around you if you got the injection, or I can't be around you if you haven't gotten the injection. So I find it very fascinating. Yes, we want to come together in very real ways, but there's this very seemingly big issue that is dividing people and families. And so I'm curious, in your perception, what practical advice could you give us about how to come together despite this injection issue?
that's probably one of the big ones right there. Politics was a year and a half before that, who you were going to vote for, at least here in the US. It did kind of ripple throughout the whole world, but um, honestly, we're facing that one as we speak. Me and Kalina literally go through that. Our own decisions are different than our families. So there is that energy divide. And fortunately, most of my family hasn't really come at me like that. There's a few, family members who are concerned. Um, some of Kalina's family that's concerned. So it has been one of those things. And my approach has been, I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you made your decision, but we're all grown up. We're all gonna to take us to where we're led by our own intuition, by our own logic, because a lot of people in the community, feel it or think it, but you got to do both. I mean, you're living in a world that's physical, that has division, that has duality, that has good things, bad things, harmful things, good things. So you really do actually have to discern, and that takes some mental, some emotional, and a lot of intuition, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this, you do that, and we can still be cool, you know? I respect you, I respect your decision. Now, please do that for me. And if people can agree to disagree, that would be amazing, because that's something that we've lost in our world. Um, you know, back in my days of being young, they were like, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, don't talk about how much money you make. And all three of those systems are really messed up now. So it can't be that we can't talk about it, but on the other extreme, it can't be we have to talk about it because you're wrong and I'm right, because those are both the opposite end of the spectrum for the same thing, you know? It's got to be a live and let live type thing.
Where I find the neutral ground is in the heart space. If people are willing to come together, if people are willing to drop in their heart and focus on love, then some of these issues, I won't say they dissolve, but they don't hold as much energy or as much charge. And so that's something that I practice with my family, because I'm very much in a different understanding than they are in a lot of different topics. But I've always made the choice, we're not going to have arguments and discussions about this. I'm just going to show up and I'm going to love you as best I can. And that has served me very well over the past 16 plus years since my spiritual awakening. So I'm curious your experience with that, and is your family receptive when you're able to stay in your heart space and offer that to them?
Absolutely. I would say that the love of family itself, the choice to accept being a part of the family and giving that love, and trying to receive that love, is definitely instrumental. My family, my personal family, like my family, half of our family, Christian background, so a lot of different bridges that we had to cross to come to some form of equilibrium.
Yeah.
And Kalina's family, they grew up in more metaphysical Eastern philosophy,
Okay.
guru, metaphysical. So not as many bridges to cross, but the channeling thing was a little different for them, even though they accepted a new channeling, you know. It was a little rougher for them, but we all did it. And that central part of wanting to connect with the family and using the love that you have there so that you can show up. Family's not easy. It never has been for most people. I'm fortunate that I've got a really great family. Kalina is too. But without you being able to love and not judge and get in there and actually give the heart space energy to people, absolutely, it would be a nightmare. It would be it would make it a lot more difficult to do the thing, you know.
Yeah, the judgment thing really does get in the way, and like you, I've done a lot of work around that. I grew up with it. I also grew up, in the Christian church, and judgment was just part of the indoctrination. And so I didn't even know I was doing it. So I've had to do a lot of work around that, and really, when I meet somebody, I try to get the bigger picture of them. Why are they cranky today? Maybe something happened. Why are they being rude to me? Maybe something happened. Maybe they just got fired from their job. Maybe they're just a cranky, rude person. But maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's a different reason, and I could lend some compassion and understanding, and try to see them through the heart space instead of, that brief experience in time. And I think if we could all do that and practice that, the world would be a much better place. I'm curious if Treb, or I apologize, I forget the other being that you channel.
Aridif, yeah.
Aridif. I'm curious what they have had to say about this time on planet Earth, if that's something that you'd want to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, they've said a lot about it. They've talked about this year for ever since I started channeling publicly. Um, it was explained 2012, is part of a cycle. Everything's secular. 2012 wasn't as important as any other year, less important, but it was a big sharp point of an energy that was meant to help drive humans towards that ultimate growth, to branch out so that eventually we can get to that next level. And at that time, they said that 9 years before, 9 years after, is the energy, goes up for 9 years, comes down for 9 years, and at the end, by the end of that time, all these things that have caused us pain, suffering, separation, disconnection, the human stuff, that would have to be dealt with. It would come to the surface. It would be right in your face. You'd be forced to look at it. And they've been saying that now, like I said, since 2010. So 11 years now they've talked about this. So I've been prepared for this year, even though I didn't expect it to be what it was. I've been ready in some way, shape, or form, knowing that this would be a special year. And especially not seeing 2019 or 2020 coming either, even though I knew it's kind of part of the energy cycle. So we're not ruled by the energies that are there. It's a secular thing. We have control of what we do. We have control of how much of that energy we take on, just like we do when we're working with people. You get to accept if they're going to ruin your day or if they're going to make it better. Even if they're behaving the same exact way, you have the option to connect with that energy. And that's the judgment thing, the thing that you said. Why is someone the way that they are? Why are they behaving this way? Those questions unasked are always a problem, but when you ask them, you find an ability to at least try to use that lack of judgment and growth. But they've been saying a lot of things this year. People have asked about vaccinations. They've been asking about lockdowns. They've been asking about all this stuff. And what they've said is, this is part of the energy coming to the surface. Systems have been broken on your planet for a long time. Government, schooling, religion, finances, all these systems that have been really messed up, that have suppressed more people than helped them. And all the faults have to be shown to all those systems. And if they're not shown, we can't look at them, we can't deal with them. So they said that was a part of it. They said, just recently, Aridif shared about Australia and talked about that. And he said this is something where the whole history of the island holds energy. When the landmass broke off and became its independent part in the ocean, an ancient land, it was at peace, and then the Aborigine energy brought newity to it. And after that, the English brought prisoners, which brought resistance and suffering and pain to that region. And now it's a replaying of some of that old energy that people themselves haven't worked out. It's not forced on us. It's because we didn't do our own work that the energy is being pushed to the surface so that we can see it. Because, in our whole spiritual journey, it's always what you don't focus on, what you don't work on, what you don't take care of, continues to find a way to creep back into your face every time, no matter what. It's there, you got to deal with it. This is the ultimate, you got to deal with this. It's getting rid of that resistance. The people's need to dominate over others in order to have safety, and also people feeling imprisoned and victimized. Both of those sides of energy need work, and both of those sides are seeing through lenses of their own trauma. So it's got to be dealt with.
Yeah, for sure. That really corroborates what Prime Creator says also, that this is a time of great illumination and all these things need to be seen so that we can heal, grow, move on. It has to come to the surface to be seen. And I believe that's what's happening right now. I'm curious if you feel like there's going to be some big event, or like, is this all going to be resolved by the end of the year? Do you have a feeling around that?
I do have a feeling that it's not necessarily going to be completely resolved by the end of the year. But I do have a feeling that enough situations and experiences are going to happen that it's going to make everyone be able to look at all of these situations that they've seen so differently on, and at least look at one aspect of it and say, you know what, maybe we were wrong to be so fighting about it, to be divided about it. Um, Treb and Aridif have said both that by the end of this year, you're going to see the pathway to start rebuilding the new systems. The pathway will be shown to you guys, and a lot of things really subtly, and a lot of things, pretty undeniably. So I do assume something will happen. I don't know how big of an event it'll be. I know I personally have tuned into that big event type thing, but I also know I've had a lot of trauma in the last 2 years with my expectations. I'm like, hey, this is going to happen this way. And boom, the opposite. Everybody's been on that boat, I think, for 2 years. So, yeah, I think that it could be, but, I know that eventually enough things will happen where at least the path forward for everybody is going to be seen. And it's not just your side, this side, my side, whatever. Everybody's going to have that option to have the pathway through.
Yeah. This, let's just talk about this event, potentiality a little bit, because I know people that want it to happen, and I'm personally of the mindset that I want what's easiest for the collective energy. So I don't know if that means something big or like we've been experiencing series of smaller things unfolding. To me, I think maybe series of smaller things unfolding is maybe a little gentler for the collective energy, but I don't know. Curious your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think whatever's best for the whole is better. And that's the rough part. There are so many types of people. Some people, you can nudge them a million times over, show them a little more the piece of the bigger picture, and no matter what, they're still going to be like, and ignore it. And they've got to be slapped in the face energetically, like, hey, wake up, it's time to go.
Right.
And other people, when that, hey, it's time to go energy comes, they fold and they crumble and they don't stand up under that pressure because they're sensitive, or because they haven't dealt with trauma before, or, they've had a trauma, just not actually dealt with it. So honestly, I think it has to be a little bit of both. I think it has to be lots of little things coming, and then maybe a medium thing. I don't know, but no matter what, yeah, something. It's no matter what's going to happen, not everyone's going to be happy by it. You see that right now. I mean, you just say one word, and you got people ready to punch each other in the nose right now, and it's that contentious. So anything that folds more truth, my ideal scenario would be like both sides get to see something that they weren't able to see, and say, hey, look at here, you weren't so right about this, but you were about that, and the same, so that everyone, because every time I see a new piece of information pops out that empowers one side to do the I told you so thing, they do exactly that. And that only cuts in deeper. And I know that's part of it, that people have to get that out of their system, but I don't know how healthy that's going to be on a long-term basis. It's caused damage for families, definitely in communities, social groupings. I mean, you see how it's affecting people all around the world. It's not been a good thing. So I'm hoping it can be something that's either like that, or something that shows so brightly that no one can deny, and it's just everybody has to see what the truth of the situations are.
I'm all for the truth, and I'm totally okay being wrong. I just want the truth, And
Kalina says the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
There might be things I'm wrong about and things I'm right about, but whatever. I want the truth. I want the truth to be revealed, and I want the truth to be seen by everyone. And okay, how do I want to ask this? So I believe that the world is being disassembled. The matrices are falling apart, they're being exposed, all that sort of thing. And I also believe that they don't have to completely crumble before we rebuild. You mentioned that Treb or Aridif had said that by the end of the year, it will be revealed how we proceed forward. And I feel like we don't have to wait. We can start rebuilding now. What are your thoughts around that?
Absolutely. And like I said, these energies, 2012, 2021, 2003, all of those are just nice markers to show our human brain linear passing of a singular form of energy. But uh, the power of the now is the most. The power, inside the person who's controlling the body vehicle. That's also something Treb and Aridif have always said. You have lots of fractions of consciousness attached to you: higher self, oversouls, earth consciousness, solar system, galactic. So you're a part of all these energies, but the one that drives reality are the ones in the smallest pieces: the lower fractal consciousness, the part in the body, because that's the free will part. That's the one that utilizes the energy from the earth and from the oversoul, from higher self. And whatever decision that part of us makes is what, controls the experience of actually living on earth. And that's all most of those higher consciousnesses really care for. You come to earth and you can be the greatest person on earth. You could be the worst person on earth. It doesn't matter if you're oversoul or your higher self. They just want the experience of experience. That's why you jump in physical bodies, to have experience. I think that the higher self does enjoy more when you're aligned with it and when you're doing your highest excitements, but you don't have to. It's all free will,
Yeah. It's interesting where free will has gotten us, isn't it? but but mixed in with that free will is a ton of programming and indoctrination and manipulation of our minds and things of that nature. So it's, in a way, it's free will. We still do have free will, but it is often, it's like, well, we do have free will, but we've been so programmed. Do you have a method or a suggestion that you use with people to deprogram, to get them out of the indoctrination and into soul truth?
Aridif, Treb, myself, Kalina, back in 2013, created a 10-step belief system change. And basically, this is a trick that Treb had taught me when I first met him that helped me keep track of where I was emotionally, learn how to remember the pathway of my thought and what first started that emotional imbalance. And when I tracked it back, how to revert it and to change that belief that underlines that resistance with me. So Kalina, being a very inquisitive person, turned like 4 or 5 steps by asking Aridif. Aridif, being who he is, continued to create more steps until finally we got 10 of them collectively. And this way, you get the short version, the long version, and both versions work for the different type of people who usually use them. Most people who use them have success in identifying underlying belief systems that they're not aware of, by reworking the beliefs that they do have, and by smoking out a lot of the subconscious, unconscious beliefs, and working with rerouting your psychology. It's a very useful tool, and people use that a lot. And we put it up for free for people. We have a 3-hour video. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like a 3.5-hour video and a PDF that Kalina made that walks through the steps and gives examples of the steps so that it's easily applied by people. But yeah, that to my knowledge is probably the most useful tool so far.
Amazing. Maybe what we could do is put the YouTube link, or whatever platform it's on, we could put that link in the description of this video so people can access that and start utilizing it. That's amazing that
Yeah.
you offer that for free. Thank you for that service.
Well, of course, yeah, it changed my life drastically just in the first few months of knowing about it. So,
Mhm.
if people actually, like, I was lazy about it and just did it when I could remember, and it changed a lot of stuff for me. So, people who really apply it have done great things with it. Yeah,
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
yeah.
Rob, is there anything else in your heart that you really want to share with this community? Is there anything else that just really needs to come through?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the things that are all around us is going to tell us a good story about ourselves. The people who we have around us reflect automatically the type of vibration that's a part of our own self that allows that connection and co-creation. Um, the things you watch, movies, TV shows, those can reflect back parts of your own self, anxiety, excitedness, whatever it is, can reflect back. Um, and the things that we do with ourselves, communicating with people, fighting with people, arguing with people, getting really heavily into politics or any organizations that give you that sense of group. A lot of times sense of group can be really empowering, community. It's an empowering thing, but the identification of that group being more important than your own discernment and your own internal working. This has kind of been the problem that I've seen, not just in our community, but for the whole world. Um,
Yeah.
Kalina had gone to college for a long time, and part of her study was uh, now I'm blanking. Oh my word. Communications, and part of communications was PR. You know, relations with the people, communicating over written format, and part of that was to go through Edward Bernays's information. The Godfather, the king of propaganda, the guy who helped U.S. corporations blast up in the 30s. The guy who wrote a book who Hitler used and utilized that to run through the whole World War II thing. So powerful things that this guy would write about. His uncle was Sigmund Freud. He took what his uncle taught him, used it in psychology on how to trick the masses of people or manipulate them so that you can sway them. And it's kind of the thought process. Any ruler knows that their population is easier controlled when divided. As one, they're stronger. You can't control them; they'll control you, type of thing. And this is what we've lived ever since I've been born. This is what I've been a part of, and I'm 41 years old, so people a lot older than me have lived through it their whole lives. My dad, if he were still alive, he would be in his late 70s, and he would have lived through it his whole life. So it's not something new, but it's something we have the chance to break through right now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not new, but
Knowing
it's really glaring at the surface right now.
very obvious right now. Yeah, it's never this far been so obvious and so blatant. Part of that's the internet. Part of it's our conscious growth, and part of it's our willingness to look into ourselves. Everyone on earth, the Christians, Muslims, every religion has been going through a spiritual awakening, whether it's religious spiritual or whether it's spiritual. Um, a lot of the Christians that I've seen, family included, have heightened their awareness of things going on the earth at a huge rate in the last 5 years. And well, longer than that, but the 5 years has really been intense. So this isn't a special metaphysics group, spiritual community. Hey, look at us, we're doing this or that, or channeling. That actually goes more into what I was saying. That division, that group, that understanding of yourself is what defeats all of that stuff, and that's what I think we should focus on as a collective if we really are tired. No matter what side you are on all these arguments or politics, when you look at the other side, you get exhausted, but you also know that other side exists because there's voices reminding you how different you are on the TV 100 times a day, on Facebook 1 million times a day, and telling you how bad those people are. I've had family members say things about me because of my own decisions being against them, that was like, do you even know who I am? You've taken your perspective of me and thrown it so far away from reality. And it's because they perceive that energy over and over and over again. And luckily, our family can communicate, and we're able to do that, and that helped. Um, but that's where we're at right now. That as a collective, it's a division. Work on yourself, find out where you're divided, and do the work.
Yeah. I feel like I would love to end in a heart meditation to bring everyone together. Are you willing to lead that? Do you want me to lead that? How would you like to do that?
Yeah, if you want to lead it, I'll participate with you. If you want me to lead it, I can too. It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy. I always love your meditations, though. Your meditations are
Oh,
great.
well, thanks. Okay, so I'll start out, and then if you feel guided to add anything, then you jump in. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, cool. All right.
Watch out, kitty kitty. Thank you.
See,
She's been on my feet the whole time.
yeah, she wants to be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I just invite everyone to close your eyes and get in a comfortable position and breathe deeply through your belly. And maybe place a hand over your heart and just put that hand on your heart with the intention of activating your heart and the hearts of all beings on planet Earth, all humans, all animals, all plants in whatever way they want to participate. And we set our intention and we offer an invitation to the collective energy to drop into the heart space and to join together through the threads of love, community, collaboration. We invite each being to open their hearts, to drop judgment. We invite each being to heal whatever pain there might be in the heart space or surrounding the heart space. And calling in the rose ray and the violet flame to offer love and transmutation energies to all hearts around planet Earth. And we connect with the heart of the Mother Earth herself. And for the highest good and alignments, we offer our hearts to synchronize with her heart so that we truly can unify and begin to search for common ground instead of being distracted by divisive tactics. So I invite you to bring your breath into your heart. Feel the warmth. Feel the fire that lives inside your heart. And allow that flame of love to grow, to expand. And then if you wish, share it out with all beings on planet Earth, strengthening our collective heart. Rob, if there's anything you want to add to that, go ahead.
When you're feeling the hearts connected with all the other hearts on Earth, it's a beautiful intention to remind yourself that as the hearts connect and be as one, that those that you've had problems connecting with are that heartbeat within you, and remind yourself of that with the intention to hold that thought throughout the rest of your day.